Hypocrisy.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Law-Splaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, the small law firm in central Minnesota. How's it going today, guys? Late as usual for me. Well, you guys are late too. I mean, I think by extension, if I'm late and you're all in the car, then you're late. Is that how it works? Or is it more like you're waiting at the house? I don't know. It's your fault. In the end of the day, I refuse to take any blame for anything that happens ever, anywhere. As you all know, this isn't a mystery. Why would I do that? I was made in the perfect image of Chadley success in all things and everything. Never fail. Get smashed. Something. Okay. Dude, it is hot. But the good news is tomorrow's going to cool down. I'm so fucking happy. It's going to cool down. It's going to be under 70 degrees tomorrow outside, which means that while I wait for this fucking air conditioner to get fixed, it might not be so hot inside. So that's good news for me because I'm dying. But that being said, we got a show tonight. We have a show most nights here. But we've got one that's a little bit, I don't know, it's interesting to me. It's interesting to me. So I hope you guys will find it interesting too. There's this article I came across where there's an authoritarianism expert saying that the GOP's authoritarianism is set to collapse the GOP forever. The GOP is dead now forever because of authoritarianism. So yeah, so we got to listen to this expert. The segment might be up to 20 minutes. I don't know how long it goes, but I've got it timestamped to the place where it's about to start. And so I want to talk about that because to me, this is a useful way to get into this issue of social engineering, which is rewriting the lexicon, redefining terms, redefining actions, redefining people into a bad thing. The interesting thing about authoritarianism, of course, is that the left recently has had no issue at all with authoritarian principles, policies, laws, implementation of laws. They've had zero issue with it. Yet the gaslighting comes in when they try and tell you that the GOP are the authoritarians. And don't get me wrong, GOP have authoritarian tendencies as well. But it's not even close to even. So we're going to talk about that. I mean, this is as the administration is levying out prosecutions for protest of a public vote and a belief that the public vote did not go so lawfully. Whatever you think about it, again, I'm indifferent to people's opinions on the 2020 election. I think we've all got them now. I don't need to advocate for either side or even neutrality. We're gonna get more on that in a little bit. I don't need to do that for anybody else. It's not like my opinion is going to change anyone's mind on the 2020 election. So that being said, ignore like your opinion on whether it was legit or not. That's irrelevant right now. What's happening right now is there are people who believed that the 2020 election was not legitimate. And they went and they expressed their vote or their voice in the one place where we should always be able to petition the government at its fucking doorstep. That is the critical element of liberty, is that you can walk up to the door, knock on it and say, this is bullshit and you guys fucked us over. If you don't have that, you don't have liberty. And a lot of people right now are questioning whether or not we do. This comes, of course, on the same day that Enrique Tarrio, the white man who leads the white supremacist Proud Boys, is sentenced to 22 years for his quote unquote attempt to overthrow the US government, which is obviously the worst thing that has happened since 911,000, whatever it is, right? Like, it is the worst attack on American history ever. So we've got this problem, and we've got this conflation of issues, right? Like, you can make arguments that some people on January 6th acted inappropriately. There are certainly people who got into clashes with police officers. There is video of violence between police or Capitol Police and protesters. Yes. Are there prosecutions to have there? Maybe. Depends on the circumstances, right? You always have to check. Did a police officer inappropriately provoke an attack from a protester? Was a protester attacking a police officer? Was it incidental? Was there intent? And in a lot of cases, there could be tons of yeses and they're very guilty. You'd have to go through each case individually, because I don't know if people remember, but that's how justice works. Case by case, fact by fact, not people caught in a wave are all vilified, and then we find ways to punish the villainous wave of people. That's not justice. That is quintessential injustice. So with that going on, we have these instances where people maybe deserved punishment, and then we have a bunch of people swept up in the miasma of political grandstanding. And then we have this other element where people's sort of rhetoric, opinion, whatever, now amounts to sedition against the US government. They have a thought crime, and that thought crime of I don't trust the election results transitions into I will overthrow the government and instill a new president, which of course on January 6th is logically impossible, as Donald Trump would remain the president for the next 14 days under the best of circumstances. Longer under different circumstances, but definitely 14 more days if nothing else happens. So to suggest that they're overthrowing the government on January 6th is a little bit of a problem. Now, on January 20th, if there's some attempt to prevent the swap of power, you've got a different argument. If there's a kidnapping attempt of Joe Biden, if there's some sort of attack on a motorcade as he's going there with the express purpose of interfering with his transition into president, you've got different arguments. We don't have those. So now what we have is a bunch of political thought crimes from political opposition that need to be punished, coinciding with some physical acts that are done that they can now try and justify a physical act as punishment for a thought crime, which is how we get to these 22-year sentences, these 17-year sentences for crimes which would not carry this level of punishment in any other circumstance. So we have that. But remember, the GOP is authoritarian. Nobody else in history has ever been, I guess, or we'll see. I don't know. We'll see how it's described. But if they let off the DFL, the Democrat Party, whatever I don't know, is DFL just Minnesota or is that everywhere? Doesn't matter. If they let off the left and the Democrats and their authoritarian tendencies, I don't know, locking down the entire country, shutting down small businesses, deciding who gets to do what with their time, with their income, with their business, with their associations. All of that happened under Joe Biden's watch with the full endorsement of every Democrat governor and most Republican governors. To suggest that the GOP is the authoritarian party without addressing the blatant authoritarianism we've seen over the past couple of years is extremely disingenuous. So we'll figure that out. We'll take a look at that. I do think there's a lot to be said about this rewriting the lexicon, and not just in the context of politics, it's in the context of any social engineering. And I've talked about this for a while with the introduction of gender studies diaspora, we'll call it. This notion of, do you guys remember when cisgender became like a word that people started using? The entire earth suddenly knew the word cisgendered and used it in sentences and in context when no one had heard of it literally a month prior. And it's this idea that if you rewrite the lexicon and you control the definition of words, you can then control populations and how they think about things and how they approach things. This is Orwell 101, effectively. So we're going to talk about that, and we'll use this this expert talking about authoritarianism as some evidence of that, along with Enrique Tarrio, which I just found out about his sentencing a few minutes ago. So that'll be fun. On a brief note, some people are asking if I'm going to talk about Murdoch tonight. No. And the reason I'm not going to talk about Murdoch tonight is because I just saw the headlines a little bit ago, and I have not had time to fully read up on it. I understand that there's an assertion of bias from like the clerk of court, like against the clerk of court or something, and that they're asking for a retrial. I think a retrial is unlikely, but I want to, like, just in concept, I think you make your motion for a mistrial and a retrial as sort of a pro forma exercise, but I don't want to just write it off as, well, you do this without actually looking into it. So I saw it late in the day and I wasn't able to actually read into the issues. So I'm going to slate Murdoch for tomorrow and try and get caught up on that whole thing. So if you're looking for Murdoch tonight, you'll have to look somewhere else, probably South Chicago. But we'll talk about it as I get my hold on the Murdoch issue. I just don't want to like go into it completely blind. Next, we've got there's this clip that I think, look, I've said it a bunch of times. I'm not the biggest fan of Trump topics. But election season is coming. All these indictments are here. Trump and Biden are the presumptive nominees, unless they can somehow knock Trump off the ballot or whatever. It's going to be a lot of Trump. Buckle up, buckos. That's how it's going to be. As long as it's news, I'm going to be talking about it. I'm not going to, like, I don't want to do Trump fluff pieces. I'll leave that for, I don't know, E. Jean Carroll or whatever. I think she did that, right? Like, was that the thing? Was E. Jean Carroll the one who fluffed Trump? I think so. I'll leave her with the fluff pieces on Trump. I don't want to just talk about him absent context. But if there's newsworthy stuff, then we're going to talk about that. This one I love. George Stephanopoulos is baffled by the latest poll results, which show Trump and Biden in an absolute dead heat. So, yeah, that's great. Cunning Linguist says, looking for trial news, not on a trial call, Ricada Law. Well, I mean, I want to give you the news. I just don't know it. It's tomorrow, man. Calm down. But yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit about this poll because, again, we're in a storm. We're in a storm, a battle for the ears of America. And it's this new breed of commentator journalists. Commentator journalists aren't new, to be very clear, like Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, Glenn Beck, Rush Limbaugh. Like, this has been an industry for a couple decades now, 3 decades, something like that. It's been really popular. But the access to the distribution is new. And the amount of people jumping in are new. And everybody can find a voice that they like somewhere. If you don't like me, you can go listen to someone smarter. Perfect. They're all over the place. If you don't like people who are so damn smart, you can come down here and hear a bunch of swear words and dick jokes along with your news. And you might like that. If you want to get like raunchier and dirtier, that's there too. Like, you can go further into other creators. You can find the voice you like anywhere now. And the media doesn't have a stranglehold on, or I should say the big media companies don't have a stranglehold on the distribution of information anymore. So now there's a power struggle. And that power struggle is a consistent demand to mold the narrative in one sort of unified way, split up about amongst about 5 companies or so. Fox, NBC, CNN, Reuters, Bloomberg. You've got ABC News. You've got that issue going on where they want to be an oligarchy controlling, an oligopoly, I should say, controlling the narrative. And they've kind of said that. Like there was a clip where one of them was like, no, that's our job to tell America what to think, right? It was beautiful. So you've got that group, and then you have this other group who are not united in any way. In fact, many of us are opposed to each other because we have differing views, differing viewpoints, differing ideas about how to deliver messages, what's important, what's not. But it's independent, it's democratized, it's distributed, it is organic, it is grassroots. It's horrifying to establishment because they can't squish it out. So they have to try and take our distribution channels, right? Like they have to try and take over YouTube or Rumble or Twitter or whatever it is. They have to get government involved to help them out. Oh, you got to silence these people. You got to censor these people. You got to do that. Too dangerous to talk about the truth or to give your own opinion or to maybe get something wrong or even they might lie. As if these people haven't made their entire industry about lying for decades. They'll act like someone misrepresenting something would be the ultimate catastrophe, and no American could ever figure out how to deal with an incorrect fact being given to them. Like, how would they? What would they do without us? So you have this conflict, and you're going to see a struggling kickback. The media has been pushing the anti-Trump narrative so damn hard that they figure you, I, whoever, must be on board. Like, we have to just see it. Don't you just see it? How can you not see it? They want to grab your lapels and shake you like a baby until you understand, until you've seen it the way they see it. This is a great example of that. They can't figure out why people don't listen. Because you better listen. You're supposed to listen. We have a card. A card says you listen to us. So we're going to talk about that. And then finally, we are going to watch the latter half of the Maddox video today. That's going to happen. I meant to do it last week, but I had forgotten that I had invited Ty onto the show. And so when Ty came on, doing the Maddox thing just didn't make sense. So we're going to do that tonight. And somewhere in between all of that, that'll be the last thing, because I know that's not going to be like everybody's cup of tea. If you don't care about the Maddox lawsuit or whatever that kind of started the channel, like, you have to be in a very specific breed of internet user to even have any reference to it. So I would get it. I'd encourage you. It's probably going to be fun, but I'd encourage you to listen. But if you don't want to, that's why I push it to the very end of the show, because I don't want to like have that be the opening thing and people be like, well, I just really want to talk about this other stuff that I care about. So it's kind of niche. We'll do that at the end, the ending segment. Somewhere in between all of this, look, I can't turn around without drama. I can't do it. I cannot turn around without drama in the past. I don't know. It's a couple weeks now. And it's great. It's great. But a certain creator who I like a lot, Eric July, is in this space. He's in this tough spot where he's got he's feeling some heat. He's got attacks going against him and his business. And he, he's trying to deal with that and manage that, where all he's trying to do at the end of the day, like what he's trying to do is run a YouTube channel and create this comic book company and make products and merchandise. Right. And some people made fun of it. Some people went after it, all that stuff. Look, you guys probably have heard a lot about this drama. If you're at all paying attention to that sector of the internet around this independent creator economy and Comicsgate and all that, you know about what's going on. Okay. And my position has always been the same. I want Eric to make millions of dollars. I want nothing but success for him and his company. And I think the shit that's happened to him, as far as like people actively trying to go after these companies and stuff like that, is bad. At the same time, some of the people accused of doing that are people I know. One person I know pretty damn well. One person I know a little bit. And they're accused of doing the thing. For me, I have not seen evidence that they have done it. Other people see it differently. Perfectly fine. That's okay. But I'm like, well, I don't like accuse people without the evidence. So I'm not, and I give deference to people that I don't really think have done the thing. And when to me, actually, the evidence points to specifically not being them. But again, I don't begrudge other people's conclusions, just explaining mine. And I mean, Eric had a couple comments about it. I just want to watch them with you because this is how it goes. This is how it will always go. And it's the clockwork of the internet, man. It's the clockwork of the internet. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit at some point. We're not going to open with that. I just like, it's great. Oh, whew. Contrarian says Nick legit still thinks Halder's girlfriend was involved. He'll never find sufficient evidence to say guilty when he doesn't want to. Yeah, I think she was involved. I think it's hilarious that she was. But am I going to convict her of something? No. Am I going to say she needs to be watched because she's a murderer? No. I just think it just kind of seems like it. Kind of seemed funny. And the sus thing was the prosecutor be like, no way, was this possible? And I was like, okay, that's good. But there's no result of that. Like there's no thing that that does to someone. It's hilarious. Anyway, doesn't matter. We'll get into this rewriting the lexicon in just a moment, and then we'll go from there. It'll be fun. Free Halderson defensive barbecue. Look, man, if someone you know is accused of something and you go, okay, I got a couple things here. The thing I know about that person is they don't really do that thing. And then you see the evidence and you go, okay, well, I mean, that's not that person. It looks like someone else. Are they laughing about it? Sure. Are they doing this? Sure. But to me, it doesn't look like they did it. Well, again, one specific person I'm more inclined to believe than the other, but I currently haven't seen evidence for either of it, other than a tenuous use of we, which I think is easily chalk upable to being retarded, which this person routinely is. So, but I don't know, right? I'm just saying, show me the actual link and let me see it. Instead of making me leap to the conclusions, put it down for me. And I'm here, like, not hard to find. So I just haven't seen it yet. That's all I've said. If it comes out that either of them are involved, I'm certainly going to condemn it and say it's bullshit. I do not endorse that. And I think I legitimately think whoever did it was like I think it was an overreaction to a badly planned joke. That doesn't excuse what was done, right? I don't think they were actually whoever did it was trying to initiate a lawsuit. I think it went farther than they thought. But at the same time, that doesn't excuse the action. I think that's one of those jokes that you go, that would be funny. I shouldn't do that. That's how that is for me. And I think just because I think that it wasn't necessarily intentional doesn't mean I would not condemn that. Again, if Dick or Vito, if I found out that either one of those did that, I would openly condemn that shit. Like I would have no problem, no hesitation to do that. I just haven't seen sufficient evidence to say that that's true. Based on what I know and what I've seen personally. Now, again, if it comes out and I've been told that there is more that links it. All right. Show me. Until then, I just operate in the same way. But we'll get to that. We'll hit all that in the one topic. Let's hit a couple super chats. Doug Murray said message retracted. Doug, that was great. Thank you so much. for the message retracted. Just kidding. Sorry, man. I wish I knew what it says. If you want to tag me with something in the chat, you don't have to send another super chat. Just tag me and hopefully I'll see it. Asia Frazier, 43 months of a member. Thank you. It says birthday today. Drink something tasty. Kool-Aid. Lol. I don't have Kool-Aid here, but I do have Cane's sweet tea, which makes me happy. Then we've got Snuggle Struggle says, let's be honest. Let's be honest. President Trump will be removed from enough state ballots and not capable of winning. Vivek versus DeSantis. RNC backs DeSantis. Rigged/broken. Maybe, maybe not. Don't know. I think the case for removal of Trump is not so straightforward. Even with convictions, I think it's a long road. We'll see what happens with that, though. Obviously, they're going to try and do that, and they're going to try and do it at the most devastating time. Like the optimal time. Note that trial for the Georgia stuff, right, is March 4th, the day before the Republican primary, I think. Is that right? Republican primary 2024 is presidential primaries. Oh, it's January 15th through June 11th. March 5th, I think, is a special day, though. And I'm not sure what that is. But so March 4th would be is right in the middle of the primaries. And I think the idea, obviously, is to I think the idea is to disrupt the GOP election potential, right? Have Trump win the primary, have him taken off the ballots, throw everything into a tizzy, let all the mudslinging occur. That's the goal. Like they want that guilty verdict to come just at the perfect time. Okay, March 5th is Super Tuesday, right? Okay, so there you go. Yeah, the first three like primary elections or whatever it is on Super Tuesday. So to me, that's the idea. It seems obvious. It seemed obvious ever since the first charges came that this was kind of the plan: disrupt the election cycle. It's about Trump, but I think it's also just about fucking the GOP over. I think that's the bigger deal to them. But you know, maybe I'm wrong on their main target, but I think ultimately that's the result they're going for, and that shouldn't surprise anybody. But we'll see. We'll see. Leon's Law says, hey, Nick, just wanted to say thanks for the show. Been watching you since law school. I have my own firm. I also work full-time at another. Been very busy, but I still hope to make time to meet you one of these days. Says, P.S. How can anyone hate Drexel? He is the purest human being. I don't know, man. I don't know. Very funny. Very funny. I don't know if we're going to talk about that tonight. That's another element of drama that was compounded today. But you know, I'm not super in the mood to talk about that one. I'll just say, keep illustrating my point thoroughly and fully. It's definitely getting better. Just keep doing it. And talk more about how blacks have never achieved anything. That helps your objectivity with regards to Drexel really well too. That's good. That's good stuff. Okay. Lassie F says, why is it every time I tune in on your stream with weeks between that you remind me more and more of Chewbacca? Do you need a tip for a haircut? No, well, yes, you should send all of the money just so I can cut my hair. It's $8 million. No, I just don't always have time to get into the barber. Frankly, all day today, just go. But I'm going to try and get in the next, if I can get in this week, I will. I don't know if it's going to happen. New Age Cock says, hey, Nick, did you hear about the 8-passenger YouTube channel fiasco? Nope. Family YouTube channel went dark a couple months later. One of the children escaped to the neighbors, hands bound in duct tape and malnourished. Mom's in jail now. Holy shit. Whoa. Okay. JL, welcome to Paralegal Status. Very, very fun to have you. Thank you for joining. All right. And let's See that? I've never heard of the 8-passenger YouTube channel, but I mean, that one, hopefully someone can send me something about that. He said, never heard of them. Most YouTube channels I've never heard of. It's not personal or anything. It's just how the world works. There's a lot of YouTube out there. All right. Let's do first topic. Here we go. So this, unfortunately or fortunately, this show is going to have a lot of audio and video stuff playing that I'll be playing, pausing, commenting on, all that stuff. So here we go. One final thing, of course, I should mention, I've been remiss to do this as much as I should have been doing it, but whatever. I am, of course, selling tickets to my Nashville show, September 16th, which is a Saturday. Not this Saturday, but next Saturday in Nashville. If you want to come see me, if you want to come see Camelot, Dick Masterson, the evil man himself, Cecil, if you want to see Kurt, if you want to see potentially Drexel, I have to confirm that. If Drexel will be there or not. If you want to see any of us or all of us or whatever, and Andrew Branca will be there as well. If you want to see us, come hang out, have fun, take in a comedy show, laugh, drink, smile, be mad, whatever. It'll be great. It's going to be a lot of fun. You can find it in the link up on Seagoody has a pinned link to the Nashville show. And what I will do is share that over on Rumble because I can't pin links over there just yet. And where the can I please have the fucking link? Copy link. So here you go. Oh my God. It copied it in YouTube format. It doesn't matter. You can click on it. It'll take you there anyway. Let's hit this. So here we go. This is the authoritarianism expert predicts why the GOP will implode for good. It's over, folks. It's over. Will Eric be there? He's welcome to come. I think it'd be fun to have him, but I think he's probably pretty busy. But he's welcome to come over. It'd be a blast. Love to have him on stage. Here we go. Nick invited Uncle Vito. Vito is not coming. It's fine. Nick is dodging the Drexel drama. Kind of sus. I mean, I've addressed it for the past couple days and said I've said my piece on it. Someone else keeps talking about it, which is fine. But you know, what do you want me to do, man? You want me to talk about it every day? Would that make you happy? Would that be your thing? Would that finally let you finish? I don't know. You need me to talk about that big black man? Yeah. Talk to me about that big black man. The internet's so fucking weird. What Drexel drama? It's drama between Drex and someone else. Not as usual. If people think there's drama between me and Drex, there's not. We're still. The last I checked, we're still friends. I guess I didn't check today. I should call him. I'm still not sure if he's coming to Nashville, if he can work it out or not. Last I heard, let me see if he had said anything recently. He was trying to work it out, but let me see if I don't know if he said he got it worked out or not. But where the fuck is it? Why do all these people text me all the damn time? Okay. It's not loading. I don't know. I'll check it later because we're wasting time here. If he's coming, I'll tell people right away. I think it's hilarious. Oh, yeah. So here we go. GOP's done for good. And here we go. Authoritarianism expert Ruth Ben-Ghiat. Ruth Ben-Ghiat. Authoritarianism expert Ruth Ben-Ghiat thinks the GOP's increasingly extreme positions can only backfire on the party. It's a, quote, very sad, scary and sad time for America. The history professor at New York University, an author of Strongmen Mussolini to the Present, acknowledged on the latest episode of the Daily Beast podcast, The New Abnormal. I mean, come on. Like, Ruth Ben-Ghiat, the history professor at New York University, is complaining about authoritarianism because Trump, the GOP is now an autocratic entity, hollowed out and in its bunker stage with its fervent support of former President Donald Trump, she argued. But things can only go one way for Republicans who are, quote, so out of step with popular desires, the academic said. All right. These Republicans are so out of step, they don't know how to appeal to the popular masses, says the history professor from NYU, talking about the GOP being the autocratic authoritarian party. This is fucking unreal. This is unreal. And they have no concept. They have no concept that this is ridiculous to normal people. None. They will go, they'll be like, I just don't understand why the gas station clerk isn't angry at Donald Trump. Don't they see what he's done to them? Like they will never get it at all. They'll just be baffled. Like, no, it's not supposed to work this way. It's amazing. Don't be a bigot. I'm a Jew. I love Jews. The Jews are hilarious. They're great. Got no problem with them. I just think that there are some Jews which really it's like they take the negative stereotype and then they use it as a playbook. And that's the baffling thing. I'm like, this is a negative stereotype. Why are you doing that thing exactly? And they happen to be often like professors or in media or whatever, like obviously, right? Like they're trying to impose. And that's the negative stereotype, is that some segments of the population want to exert an undue amount of control on others. Is that all Jews? No. Is it most Jews? No, not by a damn stretch. But that being said, when the ones who are in positions of power do exactly what they're accused of, it's fucking hilarious to me. It's like the ADL, right? The ADL, or the Southern Poverty Law Center. And they're like, they say Jews are trying to cancel everybody. Let's cancel them. It's like, wait, like, did you not see this? Do you not see the problem? Do you not see this? Like, can't you figure out why people have this idea? It's because you're trying to do it in real time. That's the issue. Anyway, it's great. But no, I think Jewish people are fantastic. Don't say the joke. 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 Okay, I'm not going to say the joke. Sometimes you have to exert a massive amount of self-control as a streamer. Okay. We'll probably talk about it on my locals later tonight. Matt himself says, idea, plan a universe of the lawyers show, plan an event year in advance probably, and have all the community show up to do a show. This law community is dumb, but we all love it for some reason. Like, you mean a live show? Like a big gathering of all of the smelly incel law tube community? That could be kind of fun. Then we got, we have a Snuggle Struggle says, 2024, the RNC will back DeSantis. Enough people will write in Trump enough votes that it would have easily given DeSantis the presidency. Biden continues to mirror Hitler. Big Tech has multiple Goebbels. Big Tech is multi-Goebbels, and the DNC goes full Gestapo. Not the worst prediction. We'll see how it pans out. Here we go. People want that joke. You guys have a lot of faith in my ability to tell a joke. So here we go. The Republican Party so out of step with popular desires, the academic said. If you're an academic talking about popular desires, your opinion should be disregarded. Look, I study popular desires. Okay. This is why what Trump calls the final battle. They're going to try no matter what to get back into the White House so they can shut down democracy, because they know that otherwise they won't ever be able to legally win again. I should make this bigger. Ben Giat said. So this should give you an idea of the impartiality of this history professor and the objective approach that she has, is because if Trump doesn't perform a national coup now and then end democracy a la Julius Caesar, then if that doesn't happen, then the GOP will never legally win again, ever. Okay. All right. I mean, okay. I don't think I can back that one, but okay. And then they already didn't win the popular vote and are now being so extreme, they'll alienate more and more Americans, she said. Is that popular vote thing, right? Well, they didn't win the popular vote. Okay. I don't know if you remember, but like technically speaking, I don't think George Bush won the popular vote either. But like, one, we don't have a popular vote system for this reason. Two, we also have had presidents win popular votes after not winning. Like the one instance or even the two instances don't make it. In fact, it's likely that several Republican wins would be losing the popular votes, because if you don't remember Trump not winning the popular vote, if you don't remember that circumstance, he lost the popular vote by something like 4 million, I think. That was just LA. Like just LA made up the discrepancy in the popular vote between Trump and Clinton. So we're going to say that that's a valid metric, like that's a thing that we should do, like just LA should control the election. I don't know if that's the right move, personally. I think that might be why they don't go by the popular vote, why an electoral college exists. But I don't know. What do I know? Kind of dumb. What does the popular vote mean? Okay, so when you vote for president in the United States, you're not actually voting for the president. You're voting for an elector who will then cast their vote, presumably for the president that you want them to cast it for. So the popular vote is the number of people who go in and mark down Donald Trump and his running mate as the president that they want to have elected by the electors. The electoral vote, though, is what matters. That's what is actually determining the electors, is when the electors get in and they cast the vote for the president. That's what elects a president under our Constitution. So the popular vote is the people who go to the polls and vote. The electoral vote is not. So if you have a state with a huge population like California or Texas, and that state's popular vote swings heavily in favor of one candidate, like, for example, if California swings 10 million votes in favor of Hillary Clinton, it's over Donald Trump, it's the exact same as if it swings 1 vote in favor of Hillary Clinton over Donald Trump. The outcome is the same. 55 electoral votes are given to Hillary Clinton rather than Trump. It doesn't matter if it's by 10 million or by 1. It doesn't matter if it's unanimous. It doesn't matter if it's every single person voting the same way. The popular vote will be a huge number. The electoral vote will still be the exact same. California is only allotted so many votes. And the reason is because they want to mitigate the ability of a large singular population being able to dominate other states in the electoral process. I mean, they still do. California still has the highest number of electoral votes. That's not going to change. They still have more power than Wyoming, who has 3, but it's 55-3 instead of, I don't know, 25 million to 500,000. Wyoming would never be able to catch up. And so that's why they created the system that they did. The electoral vote process mitigates the ability for metropolitan control of an entire nation. And if you look at the map of the United States, you'll see the issue is that you go with the county by county map, it's largely Republican dominated geographically, with localities and islands of very high density population Democrat control. And so what you've got are these little dots throughout an entire country who, if they win the vote, their ideology controls everything between the dots. And it's the idea of people with urbanization versus a preference for a rural community. Neither one is right or wrong, but the idea that they're the same and have the same interests and that one should always control the other is going to backfire, because people who live in an urban center who can walk to every basic necessity within 5 minutes are not going to understand someone who lives where I live, where the close grocery store is 3 miles away, and it's not very big. The close good grocery store is 15-minute drive. You know, it's 10, 12 miles. It would be to walk there would be an all-day endeavor to walk there and back. You're not doing it. But in a major city, you can walk to your grocery store and back 5 times a day. It's no big deal. So you're inherently going to misunderstand the issues facing transportation policy, right? Like, well, we should just hike up the price of gas because you could just walk everywhere. It's like, well, I mean, I can't, not very easily. So that, you know, that's the idea, is that the urban should never control the rural. And similarly, the rural should never just control the urban. These should be in conflict between each other. And that conflict is mitigated and balanced by electoral votes. So anyway, back to this. They'll alienate more Americans. She said, I don't have a time frame for it. It has to happen before 2024. Oh, it has to? Like, it has to happen? That's a weird, but we will get through this and our democracy will be strengthened as a result. Our democracy will be strengthened by the party I don't like disappearing. That's actually unironically what she said. It's like, well, I don't have a time frame, but it has to be before 2024. And then our democracy will be better. She's, oh God. Oh my goodness. Like, that's how we fix this thing. It's shockingly honest. Now let's listen to the bit here and see how it goes. It's supposed to start at minute 43, according to this. And I've got it set at 42 minutes and 18 seconds. So let's give it a shot.
People who have lived and be able to predict how they're going to behave. And that's what's helped me make sense of our situation, even though I don't have any background in American history or politics. I've been right about almost everything because I understand power dynamics. So all this to say, one might not.
Wait, did the history professor just state? I think that's her. Did she just state that she has no background in American history or politics? Did that just happen? Like, did I just hear that right? I think so. Okay. That was weird. And by the way, someone said you got her voice nailed. I didn't listen to this. I've not listened to a second of it. That was a dart throw in the dark. Oh my God. But of course.
Not expect me to be optimistic, but I also wrote in Strongman and elsewhere about the resistance and the reaction that comes when you have parties that are so egregiously devoted to repressing our rights. And part of the cycle we were talking about before is that the GOP has nowhere to go but becoming more extreme. That's why you have like fanatics like Ramaswamy up there reviving new conspiracy.
Vivek Ramaswamy is a fanatic. He's a fanatic. Like, you can call the guy a lot, right? Like, you can call him an opportunist. You maybe call him a chameleon. You could call him, I don't know if fanatic is the right word, but okay. Or you call him genuine. Like, I don't want to slam him. I legitimately have nothing against Vivek. It was just interesting to see some of his positions a couple years ago. People come bringing those back and asking questions about them. So then I can see the labels because of how politics works, right? Like, oh, he's just blending in, whatever. I'm not making that accusation. I don't know enough about him. It's just been leveled. So please don't take this as a critique, an honest critique of Vivek. The only Vivek I know about is in Morrowind, and you got to kill that guy. Here we go.
All conspiracy theories. And they also have to hide from the public. This is like they're getting into the bunker stage. That's dictators get into their bunker stage. So they can't have transparency. We already saw episodes during the pandemic and stuff of GOP legislators running away from their constituents. So all of that will increase, and that's going to cause a reaction. And it already is. So I am optimistic. And the other reason I'm optimistic is we don't hear about this enough, but there's a global renaissance of nonviolent protests going on.
I mean, we don't hear about it. Global renaissance of nonviolent protests. I was going to ask if you guys have heard about the global renaissance of nonviolent protests, but obviously we don't hear about it enough. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what she's referring to. I hope she clarifies that. That'll be good. Here we go.
All over the world, even places like China, Iran, Belarus, there's protests in the last years that have been sometimes bigger than those countries have ever had. And again, it's not presented to us like this. This will be my next book too. We had the biggest nonviolent protest in our history in 2017, the Women's March, surpassed only by Black Lives Matter protests, which involved around.
See, there you go. The Women's March in 2017 was the biggest nonviolent protest in history, surpassed only by Black Lives Matter, the nonviolent protest. Like, perfect. You can write the script. You can write the script. She's a PhD in this, and she's delivering us all these hot takes and very educated and erudite positions. It's amazing. Oh, you could just
20 million people, multiracial, multi-generational. So this is really important. I think we are ripe for another round, whatever it will look like, because when a party is so out of step with popular desires, as the GOP is now, like Republican women don't agree necessarily with gun policies, with abortion policies. And I agree with you, it's only 30% of the hardcore who will never desert.
Okay, so Republican women don't agree with gun policy and abortion policy. Like, that's obvious, right? Those two issues aren't important to people. So the Republican women, they're just hoodwinked into being the dumb fucking cattle that we forced to vote our way, though they disagree with these completely irrelevant things. Because no woman ever has actually, expressed a willingness or desire to vote over abortion or over gun policy. The Republican women are they're just lying for some reason on these two issues. They just don't agree. So we can see that's everywhere. So this is good.
So I think
let me just reiterate. Probably the most important line in this entire spiel from this woman. Quote, "I have no background in U.S. history or politics." She kind of sounds like the chick with glasses from Ghostbusters a little bit to me. But yeah, remember that's what she said, that she has no background in American politics or history. And so as she's telling us about like what Republican women agree with and don't agree with, I think that's kind of important, but maybe not.
Things get more dire. Also, denying climate change in the middle of hurricanes and other natural disasters. None of this is going to benefit the GOP. This is why.
I mean, could it get better? Could it get better? They're denying climate change in the middle of a hurricane. Who would do that? How could you? It's a walking talking point. This is shocking. Shockingly, not shocking that it's being said. It's shockingly funny to me that they don't hear it. They have no concept that this is ridiculous and absurd, and that it's absolutely predictable. Anyone who like read that article, or I shouldn't say anyone, when I read the little blurb, I was like, well, I know how this is going to go. Like, you can just predict it. It's going down the checklist. And this is someone who's talking about autocratic authoritarianism and then unironically saying, how can you possibly deny the reality of climate change, which is one of the most autocratically authoritarian excuse factories for controlling people that has ever existed. The entirety of the world's economy is supposed to be hinged on one particular viewpoint on climate that has not manifested an actual, discernible, verifiable prediction in its history. The entirety of climate change is based on the idea, if you remember, that by 1990, we would be a giant sheet of ice. Or maybe it was by 95. I don't know. And then that didn't work. And they went back to the drawing board. And then if we didn't change everything, I think by 2005, we would be an oven. We would be. Don't say the joke. Don't say the joke. Don't say the joke. We would be a cooking appliance. That the earth, and if we didn't change, if we didn't implement it by 2011, if we didn't implement sufficient change and get sufficient carbon reduction, then we would be at the point of no return. There'd be no way to go back. Temperatures would never, ever come down. It'd just be the slow road into the biblical hell. And then it was 2015. And now it's what, 2024 or whatever. It's always this step thing. And then what they did, what they had to resort to at the end of the day was predicting everything. They had to predict everything. Be the result. Like, well, by global warming, we actually mean climate change. So when there's a record low temperature, well, that's climate change. When there's a record high temperature, that's climate change. When if the temperature would be completely flat for a year, they'd say, yep, our models predicted this through climate change. Be like, you never talked about this. When the ocean is warm, climate change. When the ocean is cold, climate change. When there's a rise in sea levels, climate change. When the sea levels don't rise as much as predicted, that's climate change too. The increased hurricanes. Remember that was a big prediction. They said, man, we're going to have, it was after Katrina. They're like, yep, climate change. We're going to have increased intensity, hurricane activity. Hurricane Katrina is the first, and it's going to be like after that, it's going to be non-stop. We will not see calm years of hurricanes because climate change has done it. And then Ivan hit, and they're like, see, that was the next year, 2005, I think. And then I think it was 2006 to 2011, and there wasn't even a single hurricane landfall on the United States. There were some tropical storms. It goes like 6 years with none. It was supposed to be, I don't know if you guys remember this. It was supposed to be endless Gulf Coast devastation, unrelenting. What are the Category 4 and Category 5 hurricanes that will not stop because of climate change? That's what it was supposed to be. It's none of this has actually manifested. We have had hot years. We have had not so hot years. Both of them, they have claimed they're the hottest years ever on record everywhere. Due to global temperatures, they're the hottest ever. And you're like, but this year was this year is hot. Don't get me wrong. It's fucking hot in some places. It wasn't super hot early in the summer in Minnesota. Past couple days here, it's been 95 degrees to 100 degrees. Sucked for me. But when I was younger, story time. When I was younger, I was almost as gay as I am now. And I played soccer, right? I played soccer. And I had a lot of fun. Just community soccer. I played 1 year in 9th grade in school, but I didn't really like the school program that much. I liked the community program better. And we played in Blaine, Minnesota. Every year they host an event called USA Cup. It's a kids World Cup, and teams from all over the world and all of the country can join. Now you're in Minnesota. Blaine's like an hour and 15 minutes away from where I grew up in Lakeville. It was easy for us to register, but teams coming in from Mexico, Cuba, Brazil, it was a little bit bigger deal. They'd bring in better teams. I mean, we weren't great at all by any stretch. I mean, I was on the team. Never been an impressive physical specimen. It's not like that changed as I got older. You can just imagine, like, this is a string bean kid running around. But that's fine. We had a lot of fun. I remember playing against Cuba, and it's 104 degrees. And that wasn't the only 100-degree day that year. And so it's been fucking hot in Minnesota because it's gotten up to 100 degrees. But that's not different than 20 years ago. Minnesota gets hot in the summertime. It gets fucking cold in the wintertime. It's always hot in the summer and it's always cold in the winter, a little bit each way. And then you got the spring and the fall, which are beautiful and mild and great. But it's like, just because it's hot now doesn't mean it wasn't hot 20 years ago. And I'm not sure why I'm supposed to accept that it's particularly hotter now when I could just go outside and go, yeah, I remember this. And this isn't happening like more. Actually, this year's kind of an aberrant year for that. It's a little hotter than normal. But it was a little hotter than normal then too. And they're like, oh my God, temperatures in Texas are reaching over 95 degrees. I'm like, over 95 degrees? Yeah. Yes, it's Texas. It's August, baby. It's fucking hot and humid in August in Texas. July is too. I don't know if you guys have tried it, but it's not recommended. This isn't new. But they act like every year that this is the new thing. And they're like, see, climate change is driving these temperatures. I'm like, N-word. It's just the fucking climate is driving these temperatures, and it has forever. All of temperature taking history since the 1850s has had Texas being hot. The way they measured it in Texas in 1850 was a little different. Now we use high-tech thermometers. Then they just measured how many black slaves died in the fields, but it still was hot. Are we on Rumble? Nope. We're going to keep the joke. It's staying in there. No, look, joking aside, it's always hot. It's always fucking hot in July and August in Texas. It's been that way so long. Bill Engvall had a joke. Do you remember the Blue Collar Comedy Tour? That thing where like 4 rednecks got together and made everybody remember why the South is funny. Bill Engvall had that joke about every time the sportscaster says, and I don't remember it being this humid in August ever before. He's like, he wants the sports guy to lean over and punch him and be like, last August. Here's a guess, probably next August, right? Because it's always hot and humid in August. You're not getting around that. That's just Texas. So anyway, but you can go down the fucking list. You knew climate change was going to come up. I'm sure COVID's going to come up. Well, the reasonable COVID response that Republicans just couldn't get on board with, and that autocratic control over society of saying, hey, I don't know about forcing them to shut down their businesses. Like, I can't, well, let's see. And that mostly, that nonviolent protests of Black Lives Matter.
Trump calls the final battle. They're going to try, no matter what, to get back into the White House so they can shut down democracy, because they know that otherwise they won't ever be able to legally win again. They already didn't win the popular vote, and now, being so extreme, they'll alienate more and more Americans. So I think that I don't have a time frame for it. It has to happen before 2024, but we will get through this, and our democracy.
Again, that is such a weird, and to me, that line's the tell. When she says, I don't have a time frame for it, it has to happen before 2024. Why? Why does it have to happen before 2024? Is there a rule about it? Is that your desire? Like, just whatever one it is, like, just tell us why it has to happen before 2024. I think it's because Trump must be stopped, is what she's saying. But she's also saying it's inevitable. So I'm not sure why it has to happen. If it's an inevitable outcome that that the GOP's done, why does it have to happen before 2024? Is maybe I'm being uncharitable. Maybe she's simply saying it has to happen because that will be Trump's last hurrah. Is the final battle has to happen before 2024 because Trump will be out. And if I'm being uncharitable with what she's saying, which is possible, it's not intentional, but maybe that's the case. Maybe I'm just misunderstanding what she's getting at there. Maybe that's it. So I'm going to try and think it was my lack of charity and not her desire to have the GOP collapse, because it's not clear to me. Snuggle Struggle says, I'm dumbfounded here. What comes pouring out of her commie mouth is like the most insane conspiracy theory that I've ever heard. Then again, she sounds just like my sister, calls me a bigot in response to proving her wrong. Yeah, I mean, that's how it goes. Right? Like, when there are people who will refuse to engage facts, and when you bring sufficient facts to the table to question their contentions, they resort to, you must be wrong for some other reason, like you're inherently incorrect. Yeah. I want to address a chat from Ellie. What's up, Ellie? How you doing? Ellie Fant in the chat. She says, what if the electoral votes were only 2 per state, regardless of population? I mean, that'd be an interesting system. When the GOP would clean fucking house. Like they'd clean house. That's just how it would go. But I don't think that would be the better solution either. That's what the Senate had, that balancing power. And then the House just has more. But how our system was designed, how it then later became implemented with popular voting going to senators versus state-selected senators, and with the inflation of the House of Representative members by population, it's kind of an interesting thing, because one side necessarily would grow and the other side would stop, right? The Senate will only ever have 2 electoral votes per state. The House of Representatives, as originally designed, was supposed to be one per 30,000. It stopped in, I think, the 1930s or 40s. I can't remember exactly when that amendment was passed, but it capped the number of representatives at 435. I think that's the number, 435. So they don't grow anymore, or not senators. House of Representative members, congressmen, and Congress, women, are capped at this number. And so the population will keep growing, and it will be, less representation per person in the House. But the other solution, or the issue with that would be, eventually, if we didn't cap it off, and I'm actually, I disfavor capping it off. I think it would be hilarious to have 1 representative per 30,000 people. We'd have to restructure the entire system, because there'd be so damn many of them. There'd be roughly 11,000 of these assholes running around, which I think is great. But I also think, you can't pay them as much. They shouldn't have the benefits that they have. And I believe that. I believe they should not be paid as much. I believe that their service to the country as a representative should be service. It should be something that they're giving to the country, not reaping this massive amount of power and wealth accumulation that they do right now. I think it'd be great if they didn't get paid really anything at all. And they, you had to be established enough in your life that you would be able to give 2 years to your country at a very low salary, if anything. To me, that's the way it should be. But that's not the way it is right now. Now we've allowed them to pay themselves into prosperity through government service, because it's not service to you, it's self-service to them. Junior representative, I think it's $180,000 a year. plus a housing allowance in DC, a per diem for food while Congress is in session, and permanent medical benefits forever. I think the total compensation package from someone who lives outside of DC, who gets elected as a junior representative in a state, I think it's somewhere around the total compensation package is somewhere around $400,000 to $600,000 a year, with 180 being the cash payout. It's a magical amount of money. It's life-changing money for like a bartender like AOC, for example. So it's fantastic. They voted themselves into that, and that's just their on the surface compensation. That doesn't cover gifts. That doesn't cover the relationships. That doesn't cover the networking opportunities that they get to blow up if they ever leave Congress, in consultant positions, in media positions, in running education institutions, in consulting with law firms, and getting paid millions and millions of dollars a year. Also, with the whole like being allowed to do insider trading while they're in office, where they get information about what regulations are coming, how they might affect industries or companies, and being able to buy and sell stock in advance of those votes, and having a pretty damn good idea of how the vote's going to go, because that's what they do before the vote is taking place. They're not usually surprised by the passage or non-passage of a bill, and that's all legal for them. It's not legal for you or me, but for them it is. So that's how you will have these people. They'll go into office with effectively no net worth. And after a mere 6 to 10 years in office, they will have a several $1 million net worth, despite not actually being able to earn several $1 million in their position, like just by the numbers. Oh, their spouses also just happen to get really good jobs too. Like they only get paid $180K a year or whatever, but their spouse will get some consulting work, and it'll be, this $3 million a year to a pharmaceutical company, for example. Who was that? Yeah, that's right. That was Michelle Obama. She had a huge consulting contract with a medical company while Barack was a senator for 2 years. And if I remember right, the amount of hours she put in per week on her consulting job with that medical company was 0. If I remember that right, like it was literally 0 hours. And I don't know why they would do that. And it's really shocking that there ended up, when he became president, that he passed a bill that would necessarily guarantee infinite government money for like a medical company forever. I mean, there's no correlation, right? Like there's nothing. Michelle Obama having a consulting contract as a result of her husband's random Senate run, there's no correlation between her having a consulting contract that she never worked on and making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year with passing a bill that would return the untold millions of dollars of government money and guaranteed payments to a medical company. I mean, that it's crazy to assert that there might be a connection between that. And I don't know why you guys did. Michelle Obama is a bold and beautiful woman who obviously earned her consulting pay. So, yeah, come on. What are you guys talking about? Walter Deadman says, older friend, I don't remember it hot out around this time of year when I was a kid. Me, hey, do you remember what you ate for breakfast this morning? Older friend, well, no. Me, great shit. Shut the fuck up about the weather. There you go. All right, here we go. Let's finish this up if we can. We might have to move to Rumble to finish this up just because I'm blathering on.
Will be strengthened as a result.
One of the things that concerns me, and there are so many, but one of the things that concern me is that while you and I both agree that it is only 30% that are lost, I call them the lost ones, right? That
Right.
they're not going to return, is that they also, that 30%, wield a lot of power and have an echo chamber that makes them seem more powerful than they are. So when we are looking at
wait.
quote unquote,
So they're talking about the 30%. They mentioned this earlier, the 30% of hardcore, diehard Republicans. And did you hear that? They're not going to return. Return to what? Return to what?
Moms for Liberty, which is the women's group aligned, associated with the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys, and the way that they've been able to manipulate.
The Oath Keeper, the buzzword and buzzword related Moms for Liberty. Did you hear that they're related to the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys? Now, is that true? Is that a real thing? Are the Moms for Liberty an extension of the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys? I haven't heard it, but maybe that's a real thing. Is that true? Like someone tell me. Like I need to, like that, because I didn't see that one coming. Oh my gosh. It's amazing, right? Just redefine everything.
School boards and libraries and shut down critical thought. When we look at city councils and state houses that are relinquishing votes, they still are at the levers of power. And so for people who are feeling hopeless in the place.
You're right. Yeah. You know what? You know who's at the levers of power that around the country? And this is evident everywhere. It's the GOP. They're at the levers of power at school boards and city councils, because those are all just massive bastions of unstoppable authoritarian conservatism. Haven't you noticed that? How all schools are so right-wing based that you can't even possibly fathom how a humble liberal child is able to even survive in this world of right-wing solidarity and unity in the city councils and school boards. It's a complete and utter disconnect from reality.
Places that you have covered and written about. What do the people do when the hopelessness is suffocating?
It's interesting because I've been writing actually about hope and how it can seem to some people to be.
I didn't realize that was two different women talking. Maybe that's racist to me. I don't know, but I'm just now realizing that was two different women. That was a second woman. That was the interviewer talking that time, whereas the interviewee was, holy shit.
Just like foolish idealism. But in fact, all over the world, dissidents who have been resisting in far more difficult conditions than we have all underscore the importance of hope, because hope is.
Okay. I'm sorry to stop this every 10 seconds. Did you catch it? Did you catch it? She framed non-GOP as dissidents fighting. If you didn't catch that, she said, let's just go back. I'm going to go back 30 seconds, because if you missed that this is a critical thing.
Places that you have covered and written about. What do the people do when the hopelessness is suffocating?
It's interesting because.
Okay, so what do the people do when the hopelessness is suffocating? The hopelessness they're talking about, remember the framing of this conversation, is that they're hopeless against the autocratic authoritarian GOP. You know, the minority party in the Senate, who has a tiny majority in the House and has lost completely the presidency, and to their, as they say, will never win it legally again.
I've been writing actually about hope and how it can seem to some people to be just like foolish idealism. But in fact, all over the world, dissidents who have been resisting in far more difficult conditions than we have all underscore the importance of hope.
Then we have. She's likening them. The liberals, I guess, non-Republicans, to dissidents fighting around the world for hope. Albeit, they've got worse conditions. They've got worse conditions because you have power, not just a little bit, all of it. Like the only power counterbalance we have is the Supreme Court, who, despite their protestations, is not overly conservative. It's not like the Supreme Court is only issuing 6-3 conservative rulings here. It's not even close. The court has not been conservative. The court has maybe been more neutral recently, with some conservative victories, albeit on some impressive topics, but not enough impressive topics, and certainly not batting 1,000. But that's it. That's the only power that the conservative or the right or whatever has in the system right now, because Cuck McCarthy isn't stopping anything. The Republican senators are effete and feckless. They have nothing. All of the power. The dissidents she's talking about is the party in power who has won.
Because hope is essential to resistance and to thinking you can change things, because it presents the horizon as open, that history can go in a different direction. Just as we can have a small number of people who, like the Moms for Liberty, who have a big impact.
The elite, the Moms for Liberty are the elite. This is 1984 doublespeak personified. The Moms for Liberty are the elites now. Not the NYU professor who shits out books about power that she forces students to buy on probably well into a 6-figure tenured salary that she can't lose even if she gets a fucking brain hemorrhage. But the Moms for Liberty are the elites.
So can a few people make a difference and cause a mass movement to grow? And so it's very important that we reach out to that 70%, those undecided voters, those Republican-leaning independents, and talk to them about outcomes, about the future.
The 70%. You think Republican-leaning independents are 70% of voters? Is she fucking batty? Unidentified independents. Independence at all is, I think, 20% of the voting public. I think it's 20% of the voting public are independents. And I don't even think 70% of independents are Republican leaning. It's not even close. What is she talking about?
Sure. What do they want America to look like? Talk about the economic fallout of Republican policy. Show them the chart of life expectancy in red versus blue states. So outcome.
Okay, wait. Oh God. This is a new article from July, I guess. A new study. Let's take a peek at this real quick. I'm very curious. Residents in Democratic voting states experience an average life expectancy of more than 2 years longer than their Republican counterparts, according to a Newsweek analysis of World Population Review data. Data shows on average that people living in the states in which former President Donald Trump won in 2020 had a life expectancy in 2023 of 75.5 years versus 77.7 years for those in states that backed President Joe Biden. So this is fantastic. First of all, that's not red versus blue states, but okay. Life expectancy in the U.S. fell in 2020 and 2021, eliciting concerns. So in a year, in a 2-year period, where we had, according to them, the most devastating pandemic ever or whatever that murdered everybody, life expectancy fell. Oh, I mean, okay. All right. Okay. Sure. All right. Listing concerns across the health and political spectrum. Whilst other developed countries also saw their life expectancy decline in 2020 due to the coronavirus pandemic, most saw recovery the following year. American life expectancy is now lower than that of dramatically poorer countries such as Cuba and Lebanon. All right, I don't know if you guys know how life expectancy measurements work, but let me explain a couple things. America and some other developed nations report infant mortality as a life expectancy issue. So when you have an infant die in its first year of life, or sometimes like at the time of birth or whatever, it is reported as a death with then a 0 next to it for age, which will necessarily bring life expectancy down dramatically. The more of those you have, like a 0 is a huge impact on life expectancy, right? There are several less developed countries like Cuba and Lebanon. And I don't know if Cuba and Lebanon are like this specifically, but there are less developed countries that simply do not report infant mortality at all in their life expectancy averages. So you have an automatic issue with how that's done because you have an unstandard life expectancy self-reporting system from these governments. That's the first issue. There isn't an organization that goes around like collects the data objectively on a set of criteria. They're self-reported by government record keeping. Now, I don't know about you guys, but Lebanon and Cuba don't strike me as having the strongest record keeping practices for government data. Like I don't necessarily trust some despotic governments to keep accurate data about the life expectancy and maybe the happiness of their civilians. But what do I know? We also have this issue in the United States where we're remarkably diverse. And I know some people have problems with that. Like I don't, I don't, whatever. It is what it is. But when you're taking a stat like life expectancy and you go from a homogenous demographic makeup or largely homogenous demographic makeup, you have predictable outcomes on life expectancy. If the entire country, as the entire country approaches demographic parity, and I'm talking about all kinds of demographics, race, national origin, we would do like economic demographics, right? If everybody's equally poor, life expectancy is less likely to be influenced by economic disparities, right? Or if everybody's equally rich, or if everybody's equally middle class, you're going to have less fluctuation on the life expectancy thing. So you've got this. And if you're looking at, it depends on who does the study, but like the WHO tends to favor socialized medical systems when it does any of this sort of demographic measurements and data collection. You find that they overwhelmingly favor socialized medical systems, and that the data is often geared, the data collection is often geared towards things that would necessarily support those systems. And those systems get rated higher, and those countries get rated higher with better statistics. But they're not actually statistics that are useful because they're geared towards a particular outcome. If you have countries reporting different data for life expectancy, comparing them is pointless. But getting back to this, when you have a country as diverse, geographically diverse, demographically diverse, economically diverse, educationally diverse, and politically diverse as the United States, I mean, there's no way you're going to have a quote unquote higher, like that's not going to come out well on overall statistics, because you will have populations that are more predisposed to certain earlier fatal issues. And some of those populations, again, for example, lower income or higher blue collar work. Like you have more factory workers or more high risk jobs. Like you're going to have people dying younger. If everybody's a fucking coal miner, your life expectancy is going to go way down. If you have things like a civil war or a pandemic, that's going to influence life expectancies. If you have people in highly rural areas, that's going to impact life expectancy because they may not have as good of access to modern medicine as others. And you can't compare someone who's in LA to someone who's in Butte, Montana. They're just different fucking places. And so, yeah, you're going to have some different outcomes here. But even if we just take it there, largely blue voting states are going to have higher metropolitan concentrations than red voting states, which means they're going to have urban centers with more income to produce better medical systems or more capable medical systems, more robust, and people are going to have quicker access to those systems. They're not always going to get it, but on average, that will pan out into higher life expectancies. This isn't something that is a weaponized thing. It's not like people in Republican states just die because Republicans are bad. That's fucking ludicrous. But it is what it is. This is where we are now. Speaking of where we are, let me go ahead, hit the super chats on YouTube, and then we're going to move over to Rumble and keep going. Is Nick still drinking or no? Tonight, all I've had is sweet tea. Would you like me to have some liquor? I'll happily do that. Still drinking? I didn't know. I mean, was I drinking earlier? It's very confusing. Seize the Day says, thank you, Lady Raggets and the Kitties, for your continued support of the shyster lawyer to entertain and inform us despite the envious haters bent on hurting him and you. Oh, thank you. Contrarian 420 says, more important than election puppetry. Remember when unelected local health officials enforced all kinds of regulations without any democratic process? Yeah, amazing. Amazing. Grifty says, Liberty gun safes give backdoor code of J6er to FBI. Wow, that's fun. Josh Peckle says, thoughts on the Murdoch developments. Again, all I've seen is that Murdoch is going after a retrial, mistrial, which you want to do, but I haven't had time to look into the actual validity of it, like what's being alleged. I spent a lot of time driving today, and I just saw the headlines at the end of the day. Today was a little frustrating on that front, but it doesn't really matter. That was something came up, and I had to drive somewhere, and then the person I was meeting was very late. Yeah. But I'm going to look into more Murdoch stuff. And he says, Jeremiah says, tune in hoping you'd have stuff to say about Ken Paxton. Possibly. The Ken Paxton thing, again, very complicated issue because there's a lot of political motivations on both sides of Ken Paxton thing. There's a lot of backroom political dealings with the prosecution and the defense of that. There's like efforts to get various people removed and moved. There's a lot of power dynamics going on with Ken Paxton. I'm not super familiar with those. I know his trial is, I think it's just starting up, or maybe just started up, or they're in jury selection. I don't remember. I saw something about it yesterday, I believe, but I know that's kicking off. I will try and look into that. The Ken Paxton thing's been very, very interesting because Ken Paxton, in a lot of ways, is an enemy of the establishment, but he's also, there are a lot of non-establishment Republicans who aren't super happy with him either. So, that one, to me, there's like a lot of drama around it. And as someone who is not a big follower of Texas, like state politics, I don't know, but I know a couple of people who are. Maybe I could arrange some conversation to help educate me on those issues. Because I could give you my random opinions on this stuff, but if I can get other people who know some of those situations a little more intimately, I would love to get their input on it. Kate C, aka Snake Plush Kitten, says, Nick, isn't George sucking up so much? Always confused. Oh, Stephanopoulos. Yes, he is. We'll get to that one in a little bit. Sherry D says, Murdoch may get a new trial. Clerk of court has been accused of jury tampering. Several jurors came forward after reading the clerk's book. Ooh, see, that's amazing. That's amazing. Now, we saw in Chauvin's trial that a juror lying on their thing, that didn't matter. But I don't know what what the allegations are. So again, checking into that for tomorrow. I would love to update on Murdoch. Man, if he gets a new trial, that'll be great. We just buckle up for 18 more weeks of financial disclosures. Benjamin Todd says, speaking of, did you hear the ADLs getting sued by Twitter for $22 billion with a capital B for slandering them out of ad revenue? Yes. Yes, I did. And oh man, the Anti-Defamation League getting hit would be beautiful. I don't have a ton of faith in any system actually effectively going after the ADL, but boy, do I want it to happen. I would love for these watchdog organizations who are able to destroy careers, lives, and businesses. I would love to see them get absolutely fucking hammered by the justice system. But color me skeptical and jaded right now. I hope to be convinced otherwise. Mr. Musk, please make it so. Carson Depp says, so she's admitting that they've set it up so Republicans can't win legally. I'd like her to explain how that works legally. Sound fair? Sounds great. Piano Dean says, as far as Trump or Biden, a swarm of bees would make a better president. But even if we could get that many bees to form the shape of a man, there's no guarantee this bee person can actually speak. I'm fine with that. Also, if your dog steps on that bee person, it would be bad. Patrick T, are you knowledgeable about HR 25? Seems like pundits like you and your ilk could promote solutions like HR 25 and term limits, but you won't because you like chaos. I don't know what HR 25 is. If you know about how House resolutions billing goes, there's an HR 25 in every state and federal Congress every single year. So I don't know which one you're referring to, but as for advocating term limits, I've advocated term limits since long before I was on YouTube. So I'm not sure where you're getting that one. I actually advocated that every politician, every House member have a 6-year term limit and then be executed at the end of it. Man, I am so in favor of term limits that I put it as term life limits. Thank you. I don't know where you got that one, homie, but yeah, I don't know what your HR 25 like pet thing is. I can look into it or you can send me a thing, but if I just Google HR 25, there's like a shitload of HR 25s in the world. I might find it if it's popular, but I'm not sure which one it is. So yeah, my thing, what I think is it's 3 terms in the House, 2 terms in the Senate, 2 terms as president. To me, that makes perfect sense as term limits. I don't, that's been my thought on term limits since college, like undergrad college, 2003 eras here. So, yeah, it's always interesting when someone brings up something like that to me, because I go, yeah, of course, I've always supported term limits. And then I go, I guess they never saw those shows that I did them. And I thought I've talked about it a lot. So maybe I haven't. But yeah, no, very, very happy to see term limits. I don't think you're going to, because Congress doesn't vote to limit its own power. It's the same reason why they vote for caps on campaign contributions, right? McCain-Feingold, where McCain and Feingold, they reached across the aisle to come to the benevolent and noble conclusion that they wanted to make it harder for their non-elected competitors to unseat them from office. And they're like, we just don't like money in politics, so we're going to cap campaign contributions. That's what John McCain and whatever Feingold like came up with, that idea. And they swindled the entire public into believing that a cap on campaign contributions was good for society because money in politics is bad. All the while, all of the incumbent candidates are mounting up war chests and getting free airtime that costs millions of dollars for anyone to go after. And then you're going to cap the amount of money that those other people can get, while they have a war chest, especially someone like McCain had before he got by cancer, of just millions and millions of dollars over years and years of running easy campaigns against non-competitors. And you got guys like John Cornyn controlling the fucking RNC outlay, where the RNC and the DNC are able to, as organizations, give unlimited amounts of money to any candidate directly to their campaign and coordinate with the campaign, while no other entities on the planet are able to do that. That's the system they installed, and then they convinced everybody that it was good. You think they're going to vote to limit themselves out of office after ensuring 20 and 30-year dynasties through campaign finance reform? I mean, I would love to see them vote themselves out of power, but no fucking way are you going to. No way are you going to get that. Like, they just don't do it. They always vote to increase or preserve power, limit the ability of themselves to be removed. So, I don't know, man. Please term limit them. I think it should be a constitutional convention. Unelect everyone in there. Like, literally, constitutional amendment. All members of the House and the Senate right now, hard reset, poof, gone. Term limits for everybody else. We have a fresh slate going into the next election. Everybody who's in there is term limited out now permanently. You're gone. We don't want you. You don't get to stay. You finish out your term. You're gone. And then, or no, you don't finish out your term. Sorry. You finish out until election. And then you're gone forever. Go away. And then we get a blank slate of everything starting over. That's my proposal. But yeah, I don't know. I'm all for term limits. Tim Chang says, lol, Enrique Tardio got 20 years for simping for Trump. 22 years. Don't get it wrong. E.E. Fell says, this woman reminds me of that one Cenobite with a projector jammed into his skull to quote Viva confession through projection. Yeah, that's from Hellraiser 3. The one I've been just waiting to pop up on Amazon. Damn. Sweeney Clan says, my 10-year-old son lifted his shirt to prove to another boy that called him fat that he wasn't. His teacher called it sexual harassment. He fought back. Holy shit. That was sexual harassment? Dude. Cars in Depth says, it's called, I'd call Ben Giat a schmuck, but the proper Yiddish word for her is nar, or fool. So there we go. Thank you to YouTube. We're going to kindly migrate ourselves over to Rumble. We got a little Rumble stinger here that we'll play, and we'll see you guys over there. Remember, you can go to the Eventbrite link at the top of the YouTube chat. I'll also post it in Rumble one more time for now, and we'll get more. You can click on that if you want to buy tickets to the Nashville show on September 16th. Come see me and some other people and have a good time. Tell jokes. Get away from some of this serious fucking drama. Have some fun. Meet up with people, and all around, just have a good time. But hopefully you want to do that. Come check it out. If not, cool. Obviously, we will see you later. And if you want to pop over to Rumble, that would be great. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow for another show. Hopefully about Murdoch, maybe about Paxton. We'll see how that's going as I get information about them rather than just shooting from the hip. All right, guys. We'll see you over there. Peace.
For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, ladies and gentlemen,